What's up, you guys, and welcome to the stream. I've been having some conversations with some of the backers today about solo modes for games, and it inspired me to make this video. This is going to be a solo version of TacTile, the AKA no friends version. But actually, for real, one of the reasons why I like TacTile is because it actually works pretty well if you want to just play against yourself. And the reason why is I like to play games like chess, and I'll play games like chess against myself, but I find it's a little bit tough. And for me, chess is a game where you are trying to make all these like attack plans and you don't want your opponent to figure them out. And it doesn't really work when you're playing against yourself because you know all your own plans. And so I find myself just kind of moving back and forth and trying not to think too hard about it and looking for opportunities. But it doesn't really work. It's not the way I would play against an opponent. Whereas TacTile, I've been doing some solo games, and one thing I've realized is that TacTile is actually an asymmetric game. When you look at the board, people have different positions based on the tiles that are in front of them. So instead of having to create secret plans and hope your opponent doesn't figure them out, which maybe you're doing as you're thinking about cards to buy, but for the most part, you can play each position a little bit independently. And so you can just completely play, for the best possible moves and your opponent's aware of what you're doing, but it's already in their best interest to try to foil those moves. So the asymmetricness of the board allows it to be very capable as a game you can play solo because you can basically play the best moves for each position, and it doesn't mess up your strategy that you know what the other person's going to do. This is actually good practice for a real game because when you play against another person, you should be trying to figure out what the best moves are in their position and try to foil those moves. That's just part of standard play. So I find it plays really well in a solo game, and that's something I'm going to show you guys today. So in this game, I'm going to actually play against myself. We're going to be doing two things here. One, I'm going to be showing how this kind of works as like a solo game. Second thing is I'm just going to be voicing over my strategy. I had some time today, and I've been thinking a lot about making a strategy video for TacTile and kind of talking about some of the things I think about as I play the game. This is going to be a great opportunity. I will kind of voice over the strategy for both positions as I play it, and we can kind of see what a kind of competitive TacTile game looks in real time. Okay, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. We have the red player playing against the blue player here. So, quick refresher on the rules for TacTile, since I assume you guys aren't as fresh on this as I am. On your turn, you're going to do two actions. That's what these basic actions are for. I've created a little first player token, this little werewolf guy, because I'm definitely going to forget whose turn it is since I'm playing both sides. So this is just going to be for this game to help me remember. But yeah, so on your turn, you do two actions. That's what the cubes are for. The actions are they can be a move, so moving one tile. It could be gain, which is gaining a resource from that tile. So if I was here, I could gain a green resource, right? Buying a card, there's always going to be six cards for sale. They're always going to cost two resources. It's always going to be some combination of the four different resource types. So I could buy a card as an action. I could swap a resource as an action. If I have a resource, I can swap it for another. And then last, I can reset the market as an action. Just discard the cards, draw six new. And then the cards, of course, give you free actions when you move on their matching color tiles. So actually, to make things a little bit more clear for everybody, let's go ahead and play colorblind friendly mode. Show off some of the new tile designs. There we go. So as you can see, you move on to a yellow tile, it would activate yellow cards you own, and they give you free actions. All right, there's the refresher. Now we all remember how to play. Let's get into it. So first thing is, I'm playing as red player. You know what? Actually, guys, I'm just going to play plain mode. I like the shapes in the real version of the game, but in the virtual version, when I'm pretty zoomed out, I think it's a little better to play with plain. Okay, so I'm playing red position player here. I always like to start out the game by looking to see if I can buy a gain card. I see there is one gain card for sale. That would be on the yellow tiles. Um, so actually yellow is okay. I like to see gains in like big clumps. Like in this, like I think red or blue would be really strong colors as well. But I see that yellow are the tiles I'm going to need to move on to eventually score. So that makes yellow a pretty good color for me in red position. I also see some nice moves that could pair with this yellow gain, which is nice. So I think it's going to be pretty strong to go after this yellow gain as kind of initial card. There's not any like nearby tiles that are yellow, so it might take me a little while to actually get to use it. But I think since it's going to be valuable in the late game and it has value kind of in the mid game area, I think I do want to try to go for this yellow gain. So, as you can kind of see, when I'm thinking about the card type. I'm thinking like gains are good in the beginning because they help you get free resources. But I'm also thinking about board position. I think about board position a lot when I'm considering the cards to go after. You really want to make sure you're planning ahead for where you're going to use these cards, or else you're going to find yourself in really bad kind of spots where you can't make any good moves. So, one of the fundamental strategies of tactile is to really consider the board position of the tiles before you consider what you want to buy. So I'd say this yellow gain is probably the best card in the market for me right now. So I'm thinking about that. I am close to green and I'm not super close to yellow, but I can always swap. So I think I can get it pretty quick. But before I decide to go for it, I want to look at my opponent and see if they're going to be able to buy it before me. So here's the thing. Blue is right next to yellow and green. So that means he's going to move and gain, and buy it on his third turn. For me, I can move and gain and swap, and so I can actually buy it before blue will. So I think it's worth it to take the time to invest and buy. So don't just buy without looking at your opponent's position and resources. If you do, you're going to probably waste a lot of time getting stuff that you can't end up using because they'll beat you to the card. And this is what market power is in this game. It's being able to get to the card you want first. So you always have to consider market power before making a purchase. It'll help you not waste as many resources. So board position and market power, as well as the actual role of the card in your strategy, are important to consider. All right, a lot of thinking. I usually think the beginning involves a lot of thinking as you really start to plan your early game strategy. Then it'll be probably a sequence of actions as we kind of like knock it out, and then we'll kind of get into the mid and late game strategy where we get back into it. All right, so I'm planning to go for this gain as red player. So I moved in gain. That was my first turn. So blue player is going now, and blue player realizes they're not going to beat me to this yellow gain, which means there's no gains for them. So don't love that. I am considering a reset here because if I can't get the card I want, maybe it makes sense to reset and deny my opponent this card. However, my thinking as blue player is that, okay, let's say they invest a bunch of time getting this yellow gain. It's going to take them a while before they can use it. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually try to blitz them. I'm going to go and move and gain yellow, and I'm going to plan to buy this yellow move before and try to like move more aggressively and take up better board position while they're focusing on this gain that they can't really use. So I like that. All right, so I moved and gained as red last time. I'm going to gain a green and swap it for a yellow this time. Some of you are thinking, oh, why did you bother swapping? Why not just make your way over to like these yellow tiles? That's just generally because it's a lot more efficient most of the time to just go straight for the cards you want. Actually, in this position, I take it back. I take it back. You know what, chat? You guys are right. I'm gonna actually move and gain blue. Oh, actually, hold on. Let's think about this. See, here's the thing. If I swap, I can be set up to buy the card next turn, but I won't be able to use it because I'll still have to move here. So it doesn't really matter. I'm actually probably better off moving and gaining blue this turn, swapping and buying the next turn so that I can just move directly onto yellow the turn after that and use it immediately. I think it's like equivalent efficiency, to be honest. Yeah, I don't think it makes a huge difference. I'm probably gonna swap and buy though because I'd rather be able to move onto yellow and use the card to get extra resources than save a little time by just going onto yellow and gaining. It actually wouldn't save time too. It would take more turns to get there and then gain just to, have this perceived efficiency of not swapping. Time is a resource, and wasting time going to tiles just to get the color is usually not worth it. You're much better off swapping so that you can be more efficient. And you want to use the cards. You don't want to, I don't want to block myself by being on a yellow tile and not even get to use the card. So, all right. So I moved and gained. And now this goes back to blue player, who's in a better position because they can now move and gain green, and they're all set up to buy a move. They're actually set up to steal my gain, so I have to make sure that I do swap this turn and then buy the yellow gain. Staying on plan here. And then my opponent will just go ahead and buy the yellow gain, or move, sorry. All right, so I'm going gain, they're going move, and that's where we find ourselves. Okay. So they bought, but that only took one of their actions. So they actually have another action, I believe. Uh-oh. I need to keep track of my cubes here. I'm talking and I'm doing a lot of actions. It's easier to forget. I'm pretty sure that they just bought because they had moved and gained and moved and gained. So they bought the card, so they're going to now use the card. I want to be closer to blue because I see a lot of blue in the market. So I want to be close to it. Maybe it actually makes sense to use my move to go ahead. Here's the thing, is if I move here, I'll be on blue, so I'd be in a good position to gain blue. But if I move here, I'll be in a better position to use my yellow move in the future. So I'm going to actually use the yellow move to go here so that I'm set up for my next turn to take the actions I want to take. Okay, that is blue player. All right, so now we're back to this guy, red player. So red player's in a good position to go ahead and get a free yellow resource, which is not super helpful in this market. I think I would rather move onto blue. Actually, I'm already on blue. I'm going to gain then, because here's what I'm thinking, is I can set myself up to get one of these moves. This yellow move would be super nice because then I would be set up to get a double benefit when I finally move on to this yellow tile. But I also want to make sure I'm considering my pathways here. So yellow is nice because it is interspersed with everything. I feel like I'll always be kind of near yellow, but there's not really any good pathways. I want to think about how I'm getting to my opponent's goal. So one pathway I see is that there's this really nice green-yellow road. So if I was to get a green move, but there's no green moves, so that's not like a pathway that I could try to follow. Red is kind of blocking everything on this side. Maybe I want a red. Like red-yellow is not bad. Ooh, there's actually a nice red-yellow pathway. Okay, so maybe what I'm going to do then is I'm going to move here and gain green. And I'm going to set myself up to next turn, move here, get my free gain, use that gain to get another green so I could buy the red move. So I'm set up to use this red-yellow pathway, and that's going to be my plan to score. All right, perfect. Now I've got a plan. The end is in sight. Let's see if we can pull this off. So this is a very important part of strategy, is like you need to have a plan to win the game. Don't just move and buy cards, move and buy cards. If you do that, you're going to be like having a bunch of cards, not many great moves, and like kind of struggling to do things. You need to like plan where your pathway is, and usually you want to plan like a 2-color pathway. Like it's more efficient to just only invest in 2 colors. The most efficient is to actually only invest in 1 color, but there's never a situation where there's just a single color pathway to the end. So usually I invest in 2, maybe 3, depending on how mixed up the board is and how defensive my opponent is being. I usually strive for a 2-color pathway though. So I noticed how I was trying to figure out if like green yellow is better since I was already investing in yellow. But here I found a nice red yellow pathway. What I also love about this red yellow pathway is that it's in the middle of the board. And if you know anything about board games, you know controlling the center is usually like fun. Board game 101, that you always want to do that. So this is like a really nice center control area. I'm always going to be close to my colors. So from a strategy perspective, this is definitely a good color breakdown to focus on. And I have a pathway to victory. So now I just have to lean in and try to execute and see if I can win. All right, so I set myself up really nicely over here. I'm pretty happy about my gain situation. Let's go back to this opponent. All right, so this opponent is hoping for a gain, does not have one, and does not love that. But, you know, aggression is important too. So I'm in a good position over here to set up to move quickly. Now I'm going to need blue-green in order to win over here. So this blue move is super strong for me. So I'm just going to go ahead and gain green. Um, and I'm going to set myself up to go ahead and score, or sorry, to pick up that blue move soon. So I think what I want to do is I want to move here. So I gained first, and then I'm moving as my second action, which activates my yellow move. I'm going to use my yellow move to move here onto blue, and now I'm set up to gain and buy this blue move on my next turn, which will give me some great movement, and I will try to race down the board. This yellow is not as helpful for me as this player. Other than that, it's kind of in the middle of the board, and it's nice to have color flexibility. I really am worried about not having a gain, but I'm going to keep the pressure on because, as you can tell, I'm already getting better board position than my opponent. So this opponent is focusing more on like the late game plan of the game and like building up their market potential. This player is focused on like a bum rush strategy and just trying to blitz and score as quickly as possible. But I can tell you right now that's not a winning strategy, so I'm going to need a gain at some point, and I'm debating on resetting the market, to be honest. Um, but let's just see if maybe I get lucky and one comes out. Okay, coming back to red player. Okay, so we already planned this turn out last turn, so I'm just going to go ahead and move on to yellow, activate my yellow gain. My yellow gain is going to go ahead and give me a free green resource. So I have 2 green, and then my second action is I will buy, and I will go ahead and pick up this red move. Great. All set up. All right, and now let's see what comes out. No gain. Oopsies. All right, don't love that. We're back to blue player. That's okay though. We're gonna just go ahead and gain blue and buy. We're gonna pick up this blue move. So as you can see, well, I've only gotten 1 free resource, but these gains are gonna eventually allow this player to take control of the game just from free resources and being able to build a card advantage. But perfect. We now have the blue gain. That would be super nice. It would partner really well with my already blue move. I definitely want that card as blue player. So we're going to have to make a plan to get that in the near future. All right, moving back to red player. Okay, so I don't really want blue player to get a blue gain. That would not be good for me. Now, I don't really need the blue gain. I want to get on my pathway though and start racing for the end. If I could get this yellow move, I would be perfectly set up to have everything I need. I need a blue card for that though. So what I'm gonna do is, ooh, I'm going to, well, just move and gain, I think. Move and gain. Yeah, I'll have my moves on both my colors soon. I'll be in a really nice aggressive position. So I'm going to focus on winning and getting the cards that are good for me as opposed to toxically drafting the cards that my opponent wants. Generally, focusing on winning instead of denial is actually, I don't know, a lot of times it's better. And when you're considering the cards you buy, like you don't want useless cards. I usually focus on denial in terms of board position or in terms of the river in Egypt, you know. Okay, okay. All right, here we go. So, blue player, I really want that blue gain. So, can I get some free moves here? I can. So I'm going to do this to take advantage of my turn. I'm going to move on to yellow, which gives me a free move. I'm going to use that free move to move on to blue. And I'm going to use that free move to, let's see here. Um, I like this blocking this yellow because I know that my opponent is going to want it. So this is currently active. I have one more move I can do, but before I do that, I'm actually going to go ahead and gain blue while I'm on it, and then maybe I'll use this blue move to go here onto red. Oh wait, I don't, shoot, I don't need blue. Hold on. Oops. I want green. Okay. Hmm. Okay, well, red is still good. Red is still good, so I'm still gonna move onto this red tile. Um, and gain red. That's fine. We'll gain red. Great. Yeah. Yeah. That way I'm set up to use my yellow move next turn, then move on to green, gain green, and then I can get the blue gain. Also, as you can see, my board position is really strong as blue player. Like, I'm definitely putting a ton of pressure on them as I get closer and closer to scoring. But notice, this blue move is really strong because I need blue to win. So my opponent needs to do everything they can to keep me away from getting onto blue, because at this point I am now in a really good position to start putting pressure on the goal. So this guy spent a little time in the beginning building up his like gain and like market potential, but now it's time to start considering defense and slowing the opponent down, so that market potential has time to go to work. Okay, so here's the thing. First, I want to think about getting this yellow move. Um, so I'm just gonna go. Here's the thing. So I could gain and buy it this turn, but if I do that, then my opponent can start to get closer to the blue tiles they need to eventually win, which we don't love. I don't think it's worth it necessarily to get a push just yet, but a push would be very helpful for like keeping them away from these blue tiles and giving me more time to keep them slowed down. But I also know that I have a lot of game left. I'm not super worried about defense just yet. I do want to continue focusing on my offense potential and ability to be in a good position moving forward. This is an annoying position for this guy because I do need that yellow tile. It's like kind of the pivotal tile to like be on this little road. Otherwise, I have to take kind of a long way around, and get blocked on a bunch of different places. So this is a really good placement my opponent did, uh, knowing the color pathways that I'm trying to take. But here's what we'll do. Here's what we'll do. I'm gonna go ahead. See, I could go onto here, get a free move. But if I do that, I'm going to start getting blocked by blue later on. So I don't want to do that. I think what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and move here onto red, which activates my free move. I'm going to manually gain and pick up another. I'm going to pick up a red, and then I'm going to use this move to um, move here onto green. So basically, putting myself just in line on my pathway, which is great, and setting myself up to pick up the move I want. So I'm in a great offensive position for the next turn. Okay. Meanwhile, this guy is going to continue with his plan of moving on to yellow, which gives a free move onto green so that it can gain green, and is now set up to pick up a gain that they want. All right, so this person is going to go ahead and pick up the yellow move. Great. Nice little three card engine setup. So that was a buy action. All right. And now I can move, and I'm on my pathway, which is great. Free move onto red, use that move to go onto yellow, activate move, and gain. All right, what do we want to buy? I think we want to pick up a push now, just so we can slow this opponent down. There unfortunately is no push cards available, but luckily they don't have great movement here because this person's going to have to move backwards to use their move cards or slowly cross this kind of green mud, also blocked by these red tiles here. So both of these pawns are about to move very slowly, which we love. I do need a push at some point. This red push would be super nice. So I'm gonna go ahead and use, and I'm perfectly situated to go ahead and try and pick that up. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick up a red resource now, and then use my free move to go here. Both my pawns are now positioned perfectly to continue on this nice little highway. And I'm also put in a great position to pick up this push, slow down my opponent so they can't score and win. Things are looking, really strong for red player. Okay, so blue player's turn. All right, shoot. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is pick up this gain that we worked so hard to do. So we're going to buy that for sure. But now we are in a position where our opponent is set up to go ahead and score. So it's really important we do not let them continue on this pathway because they're just going to go ahead and score. We don't want that to happen. So what I'm going to actually do, I bought that gain, so now I have gain potential. I will be able to continue to get strength as the game goes on. I'm going to now move. I'm going to move on to yellow, use that move to move here. Actually, I have a... Hold on, I have my move is active, so I can still use it. I'm going to use that move to go backwards onto blue. And now I have my other move and gain both active. Let's get this card to push. So I think we want to be able to set ourselves up for this yellow move. So we're going to go ahead and gain blue, and then we're going to move. We're going to move our pawn here. So we are again blocking them very nicely and separating their pawns. So this is a really important strategy in TacTile where you separate the pawns and then try to slow down the trailing pawn. And that's because you need to score both pawns in order to win. So it's okay if you let them score their first pawn because then they lose one of their pieces, they have less flexibility, and it's really easy for you to box in the second pawn. So strategically, you always want to try to separate the pawns and like focus on keeping the trailing pawn like close to the opponent's home because it gives you the most distance between the score zone and a lot of opportunity to focus on boxing in that pawn. This guy is going to be afraid to score his leading pawn because it'll be a disadvantage until they can free up this second pawn, and it's a good way to slow down your opponent as they gain momentum. So I don't know if you guys noticed this, but there was a big momentum shift in this game where red had bad board position in the beginning, right? The cards were not really aligning to what they were doing. It wasn't a great setup. Blue had focused on getting a bunch of move cards and they had great board position. But now red was able to get their gains and their moves aligned, and then they pivoted and started to take the lead, being on this great board position to score, while blue does not have very good board position right now. So blue has pivoted from offense to defense at this point, trying to slow down red while they get their cards set up and their ability to win in place and hopefully buy enough time that they can win before red. So we're going to have to see what red does. I suspect red is going to need to find a balance between offense and defense to come out on top of this game. This is extremely classic competitive TacTile where things are changing on like a turn-by-turn basis, and you're going from being in the lead to being behind to back in the lead. And you always want to be responding to your opponents and being very aware of their potential to win and making sure you foil it before it materializes on the table. Okay, so really excellent defensive play by blue. Blue's doing one advantage of having these move cards is you can get yourself into some really good positions. It's that movement flexibility, really powerful for playing both offense and defense. So, but these gain cards are the late game. So not having gains is really important. Now, the next card, the card I haven't bought yet, is the push card. The push card allows you to control your opponents and is going to be really important in situations like now for creating openings and allowing myself to break through. Pushes are also obviously really strong for defense and shutting down your opponent as they get more powerful. So I suspect we'll see some push cards coming out in a moment here. All right, so we're going to come back to red. Everything resets. So this is where I find the game. This is the transition of the early game to the mid game. Once you have 3 cards, now you actually have like enough stuff to do that like now you're starting to see a lot more complexity come out. I think we are officially out of the early game and now in the mid game where now we start to see the call and response of the game. So, and then the late game usually starts once people have 4 move cards. That is the onset of the late game. And the late game is usually an all-out sprint. So we need to try to gain some advantage here in the mid game and so that we can win the sprint of the late game. All right, so don't love that he is going to go ahead and pick up this move card. But here's the thing, like, we do have a great pathway here if we can just create a little freedom. I do love that I'm in a good position to pick up this push. Like, this is going to blend really nicely into my current strategy. But, okay, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead, and this is called the do-si-do. I'm going to move on to red. Activates my red move, but I want this free gain. And the reason why I want this free gain is because if I get this gain for free, I can get the yellow resource that I want, and I can use my second basic action to buy a card. Buying is really important. Obviously, it's how you add cards to your hand. But since you only get 2 basic actions, you really want to save that second basic action for buying cards. Like, that's the best use of it. And if you're using it to gain a lot, it's not as efficient. And that's why getting these gain cards is so important, because if you get enough gains, then you don't have to use your second basic action to gain ever again, and you can always just keep using it to buy and really rapidly increase the size of your hand. That is how you can kind of take away the game and win in the late game. So honestly, it'd be better if I had 2 gains, but I also want to make sure I'm balancing like my gain potential. Moves and pushes are what give you game potential with just investment potential. So I'll probably be adding another gain at some point, but for now, I want to get some more cards that allow me to do stuff. So I have this move that I activated. I'm going to use that move to go backwards, called the do-si-do, so that I can now activate my yellow cards. I'll use the yellow gain to go ahead and pick up a yellow, and now I can use my second basic action to go ahead and buy this yellow or red push. Now this red push is not active yet because I haven't moved on red since I owned it, but my yellow card is still active. I'm going to go ahead, use that now, and I can move forward onto red to activate my push. So now I can push somebody. I'm going to push my opponent. Now let's consider where we push them. Remember, your opponent, the best, you really want to mess up your opponent by keeping them away from the cards that they're trying to use, right? See that? So like, we know he really wants to move on blue because blue has most of his cards. So probably our opponent is going to try to do the same thing and do-si-do over here. So actually, let's think about this. Honestly, maybe moving this guy forward was not the best use of my move. Because if I left him here, he'd be blocking yellow tiles, which would prevent my opponent from moving onto yellow and do-si-doing and getting this free gain. It might actually have been better to move down onto this red tile, which is still on my nice pathway, and it would have given me the ability to block my opponent with my opponent, which is super nice. So actually, I'm going to mulligan that. Everybody gets one, you guys. Everybody gets one. And instead of use that move to move there, I'm going to use that move to move down. So a backwards move for me, but it allows me to push my opponent and push my opponent here. Now check this out. My opponent is now totally blocked. Look at this. They want to move on yellow. They want to move on blue. There's no way for them to do it. I've created a wall using themselves and me, and they're going to have a very inefficient turn. Okay, now I had to sacrifice efficiency to do that, so I think it probably neutrals out where like we both don't get a lot out of our turn because of it. However, I'm going to be able to keep them in this position, and I'm going to keep getting my supporting cards off every single turn, and I think I'm about to build a lot of efficiency by keeping them trapped in this position for a few turns. So it's often worth it to like have kind of a neutral turn to set up a jail like this, because I'm going to probably get at least 2 more turns of efficiency out of this, and this is going to be the margin I need to build up to probably be able to win this game. All right, let's go ahead and see what blue wants to do. All right, blue's in a bad position here. This sucks. Man, what a fall from grace. Blue was winning in the beginning with those move cards, but that's why it's so important to get a gain early and be in this position to take advantage of the market and kind of build this card advantage. Notice red player is at least, a resource and an action ahead of blue player because they're up a full card. And so each card costs 2 resources. So you can see that they are +1 resource, +1 action ahead. I mean, basically 1 turn of advantage. And they're about to build that into a few more based on the efficiency they're about to get. Okay, so let's take a look at blue player. We don't love this position. This position sucks. So what are we going to do? We're in a terrible position because we need to basically break out, right? Getting here would be good because we'd be close to blue tiles, right? Which is what we want to be close to. But we know they're going to keep pushing us back onto this yellow tile. So in a situation like this, what you want to look for is, okay, what am I surrounded by? I'm surrounded by red, right? So it would be really good to buy red cards because then I can start to build my efficiency on the tiles they're forcing me onto, right? Red players forcing me to move on to red tiles, so I should buy red cards, right? That's how you escape from jail, is you think about, where am I being sent? Okay, I'll just invest in that and I'll turn it into my advantage, all right? Problem is, market is not being very friendly. So this is tough. Now, we also have green tiles behind us, right? But the green cards are not super helpful. So we don't love it. Here's what I'm thinking. This move card is still one of the most valuable cards in the market, right? It's going to be helpful later, and our opponent is going to have to eventually move off of this yellow tile, right? So if we buy this yellow move, we're basically saying, look, you got me trapped here. This is actually a fairly efficient turn. I just gain a resource and buy. That's not a bad turn. And, you're either going to keep yourself trapped to block me, or you're going to move off and I'm going to get, a really good turn because I now have invested in cards that I'll be able to use once you move. So I'm going to go ahead and just do that. I'm going to gain blue and I'm going to buy this yellow move. Oops. All right, that's pretty good. I like that. Setting myself up for once my opponent moves. Okay, so he got a good turn. Haven't picked up any efficiency yet, but I'm preparing myself to pick up some efficiency now. So let's see what we got here. It'd be really nice to get a gain into the mix. Because then I could just start really rapidly building up cards. See, here's the thing is, I'm going to get to activate my gain, and he isn't. So I love that, and I want to kind of double up on it. I'd love to have like a red gain here, and then I can really just soak up some resources. But that's not in the cards, so to speak, right now. Blue is the worst color for me to buy. I'm eyeing these blue gains, but like, they offer no value because, like, I mean, there's blue over here and there's a little blue here, but like, my plan is to go this way, right? So like, I'm just going to be totally not anywhere near blue. And the reason why I like blue is because, one, it has those gains, love gains, right? Those are like the offense card. The other thing is that they they are on the same they're the resources I'm going to have a lot of, right? I'm staying on red and yellow. I'm going to have a lot of red and yellow. These would be easy to buy. So I like that. But here's the thing. I'm going to get a push this turn. So let's think about, can I push him somewhere even worse than where he is now, right? Like if I put him there, now he'll be next to blue, yellow. Oh, that's not a good card. Okay, we don't want to do that. Can I push the guy here? I can push him there. That would be good, but only if I can block this. So actually, I just need one more push, and I can push one of his guys here, one of his guys here, one of his guys here, and if I can block this tile, then I'm gaining ground on him while also getting all my stuff up. So the only way to push him is to either get a green or a blue push. And blue, as we've said, is not super helpful, but green is like kind of close to the end zone. So I actually, and like this one costs 2 yellows. So I'm going to go ahead and set up to buy this green push. So I'm going to do-si-do again. I'm going to move on to red, which activates these two. And I'm going to use the red move to go into yellow. So all my cards are active. I'm going to use my yellow gain to get a yellow plus. I'm going to gain again, another yellow. All right. And now I'm set up to buy this, which is good. Now I still have this move, which I don't know that I want to use. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Red's not helpful for him, right? Like we want him to move on red. No problems here, buddy. Boom. Look at this. We're advancing. If we had had this green push, man, we would be doing some really cool stuff this turn. So loving it. See, I'm gaining efficiency. This guy's still stuck in jail. I'm setting up for more pushes, more damage next turn. Loving it. And now this guy's going to be able to take this guy's position, blocking this yellow tile, and this guy's going to be free to move forward and score. Loving it. All right, I have this push. I don't think I need to even use it, right? They're already in the perfectly worst position they could be. Yeah, we'll just go ahead and call that a day. All right, don't use it. Blue, it's your turn. All right, blue's in a hard spot. Got some efficiency out of last turn, but nothing's changed. All right, here's the thing. Is it worth it to reset the market? We know this market's trash, right? It's not helping. We know our opponent is about to get a push, and I'm going to be in an even worse spot. The nice thing is that our opponent has double invested in yellow, right? So they have a lot of resources, but since they're the same resource, where if we reset the market, there's a good chance they can't use it, and that those resources will kind of go to waste for a little while. So a reset in this position is not bad. My thing is that I would rather reset if I had some resources because then I'd be in a good position to maybe buy something. The problem is my opponent is going to get a whole nother turn before I have a chance to buy anything, which is a little bit scary. But you know what? He's already set up to basically keep me in jail for a while. So the definition of insanity is just doing the same thing and hoping for different results. My opponent's not going to give me space. And yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and reset. I need a red card here so that I will be in a good position. And I like the virtual version because I can just throw the cards off the table. Can you imagine if you were playing a game at home and you're like, reset these cards, just throw them off the table? Crazy things. Okay. Oh, this red gain is so good. That is beautiful. See, I get this red gain as blue player, and now I'm just going to be collecting resources while they're trying to stop me, and I have a good opportunity to kind of come back. I also probably need to get a push pretty soon because he's getting dangerously close. He has this really beautiful pathway. Um, I really need to consider doing that. Okay, so shoot. So I kind of want to block him here. I kind of want to move there and put him in a position where he's forced to. This is tough. Maybe I should have waited to reset. Ah, mistakes, maybe. Because now I'm stuck. I really need the blue resources so that I can get this red gain. But if I don't block my opponent this turn, uh, he's gonna start steamrolling me, right? Like he's basically gonna get this guy in, and then this guy is gonna be set up to go in, and I'm gonna be in a really tough position to take advantage of anything. So here's the thing though, is he can just move, activate his push me out of the way, but then he's still gonna be forced to do-si-do. But he can still do-si-do and gain an extra ground. So regardless, he's going onto that red tile. Um, if not this turn, then next turn. There's not really a way I can stop him in this current position. However, oh man, things are not going well for blue player. I feel like getting that red gain is so important because I'm going to have to move on red so much before the end of the game. I would love to get some more of these move cards and just be in a better position to score, but I don't see it really coming to life this turn. Whatever. I'm just gonna go for the red gain and hope for the best. Sorry, blue player. Life is not going well. Okay, there we go. Red player. Yes, the winning team. All right. Oh no, he ruined my plan by resetting, and oh, that's an even better push than the one I was gonna buy. So, I feel like I'm just gonna go ahead and buy. I mean, it's also be really nice to get this yellow move, just make life even easier on this highway. But I mean, I could just add a push to my engine for free, basically, which I love. I can't use it this turn though, so there is something to be said about like, well, if you can't use it this turn, you should just wait. Because if I move, oh, I'd have to do anyways, just to. I wonder if it'd be worth it to go this way. That'd be more efficient, which would be nice. Um, but then I'd be stuck on this blue square. He doesn't have any pushes, so maybe we just go for the win here, guys. I kind of want to. Here's the thing: if I buy this push, I could do two pushes. Is there any place I could put him that's worse than the current place? Let's see. See, the thing is, if I take one of these guys out of the current place, then I'd have to put one of my guys there to block it. So I actually don't think getting this push even matters right now. I actually think I want to, and maybe even picking up this blue move would be better because then it'd be good for me to have a little extra juice, and it would prevent him from getting a move that can help him win. So maybe, you know what? This is fine. You know what? We're not going to use these for now, but that's because better stuff came up. So activate the move and the push. Use the move to go. I'm going to actually, oops, I'm going to gain red while I'm here using a basic action gain. Crazy, I know. So inefficient. I'm going to move onto yellow. Nice. Free move, free gain. This is not very efficient. That's okay. Ooh. Yeah, I'm doing this way wrong. Getting too cocky, everybody. This is what you have to watch out for. I'm just gonna. I want the blue move. Whatever. Just gonna move on to this red one and gain red. And now I'm set up to buy this yellow move. Either one's good. Okay. Blue player. All right. Red player just made some mistakes. Maybe that'll give blue player a chance. All right, you can pick up this gain if you want, but I mean, pretty much have to, right? Or could get the move and gain here, but that's not going to help me to get a blue. Here's the thing: is like I want the yellow move, I want the blue move. They're not going to help me. They're not going to help me. This guy's just going to keep me stuck, right? So you just got to remember, stick to the plan. I'm going to gain a blue, and I'm going to buy this red gain. Gain and buy, baby. Stick to the plan. All right, now I get a lot of free resources as long as he keeps me trapped. Gives me a chance to come back. Okay, whoops. Let's go ahead. Let's see here. I think red player is just like gonna dominate this game. Not looking good for blue player. But let's go ahead and see what might happen here. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna buy the yellow move. Very nice. So that's my first action. Then my next action is I'm going to move again. I'm going to move on to red. Activate these cards. I'm going to move, oops. I'm going to move back onto yellow for the old do-si-do. And now I'm in a good position to move on to blue. Gain blue. Move onto yellow. And this guy is in a good position to score. I still have the push, which I'm not going to use. And then next turn, I can focus on getting the blue move, which I don't super need, but it denies my opponent, and I'm all set up to win this game. Let's go. Loving it. All right, finally got that red gain. Let's see it. All right. Life is not good in the blue house, but that's okay. I'm going to go ahead and gain. Here's the thing is he's going to be able to buy the blue move next turn. So it doesn't really help me to try to stop him. However, I can gain yellow and move onto red. Here, which allows me to gain yellow again. Which now means I can buy this yellow push if I want. All right, defense. So he's about to win, so I have to go all out on defense from this position. And now let's see what happens. Okay. So blue player is committed to buying this yellow push. So it would be kind of funny if I just bought that yellow push so that he couldn't use it. I was fronting like I was going for this blue move and then pivot and go get the yellow push. That might actually be the move here. Denial in the late game, really important. Just wasting your opponent's turns, not letting them get what they want. Plus, we always knew this yellow push would be helpful later on. So, there we go. You thought I wanted that blue move, but actually, I went for the yellow push. Now what are you going to do? Ha ha ha. All right, and okay, so do I go for the win here now? I feel like I'm in a good place to win. I don't think he can stop me, so I'm going to actually go for the win here. So I'm going to go ahead and move onto red, which gives me a free move and a free push. I need to actually move backwards onto yellow to activate all of this. Not very efficient. However, I have 2 pushes now. Do I just go for it? Let's see. This double red is kind of a wall that I can't quite move past. So I might need to double move to get here. And then I'll be in a really nice position to like come in and score both my pawns. So I think I normally would score this pawn and then just get one in and then focus on the other pawn. But I've been playing a couple games now, and like you kind of want to make sure you have a plan for both your pawns, because the moment you score one, that's actually a big moment of weakness. So I'm going to move both. I'm just going to move twice here. Oops. But before I move, actually, I'll move twice. So, and I have 2 pushes. And then I'm going to gain a red. So I'm set up to buy the blue move. Ha! Still going to get that blue move. You got nothing. And then I have 2 pushes. Okay, so I could push him here, right? He's going to be able to do-si-do and get double gains off and buy stuff, which isn't great. As long I could push him twice here. I mean, he's going to be able to do-si-do from a lot of positions. Going from the win here does expose my enemy to a lot of opportunity, which I don't love. But I think I'm in position to win as red player, so, you know, let's make this happen. I could put him, I mean, 2 pushes. I'd rather he move backwards. I think just pushing him once here is still probably one of the better places to send him. It's really inefficient for him to just go backwards. So alternatively, I could double push this guy up to here, get him really far away. And then he doesn't have any good options there. And then he has to do this kind of going around thing with this one, which is also inefficient. I like that. Plus then I get to use both of my pushes. So, oh, well, he'll just go around this way, actually. It's okay. I'm creating a trailing pawn here, and creating a trailing pawn is always valuable from a defense standpoint, so I don't mind that. Okay. Let's see what my opponent does. Okay, so that untaps. Okay, so he stole my push like a jerk. I'm really playing a real meanie over here. Don't love that. But now he set me up so I can steal his move. Because I have double moves and they're both on red and blue. So, you know what? Give a little, get a little. I'm having too much fun playing against myself. All right, I'm going to go ahead and move. I am going to go ahead and do this around thing. So this activates both my blue cards. I'm going to gain blue, right? I'm going to move onto yellow. Double moves. I'm going to use, let's see, one of them to move on to red, which activates my red gain. I'm going to use the red gain to gain red, and now I can go ahead and buy. So here's the thing. Blue was having a really hard game, right? Like they were stuck for a while, But now, check it out. Blue is now in an amazing position because they invested in a card that they were going to be forced to move on, and now they have double gains while red player only has one, which means they have late game advantage. I'm going to use that yellow move to be able to move onto blue, which activates the blue card I just bought. I have another move, and I'm going to use that move to go ahead and move my guy here, so he's in a great position. And the race is on, baby! All right. This is turning into a real matchup. Okay, except yellow player just wins. Oh, shoot. Oh, wait a minute. Shoot, they just win because they have two moves. They just go there. Okay, sorry. We're gonna have to mulligan that turn. So he was here. So don't get the move. Undo all that. Dang it. See, I want to go for the win here, but if I do, yellow player just wins. Right, or red player just wins. So I have to buy a push. Dang it. That would have been a great turn. Okay. That's fine. That's fine. We could still buy a push. So we have the yellow, and there's a ton of cards that cost yellow, so that's like not going to be an issue. Buying this yellow push is probably the best one, right? Because that one's going to be it's easiest to buy. It goes right in the middle of our engine because we already have a bunch of yellow cards. We want to move on yellow anyways. Okay. But we have to use it this turn. And here's the thing. If we push him here, one push is not going to do it, right? Because if we push him once, he just moves on to red, and then he moves on to yellow, and he wins the game, right? So we have to be able to buy a push. This is tough. I might actually be losing the game right here no matter what. Because I have to get a green, right? Which means I have to move on to green, right? And oh, 1, 2. See, I'm considering going backwards, right? Just to get in the way of my opponent here. But I need 3 moves to do it. I need to go 1, 2, and then I can have double yellow moves, which gets me here, right? But maybe I buy the Is there a way? Because I can either buy a yellow push him back, and end up my turn here, which would be great, but there's not a way to move. This problem is I need a red push, right? Because I can go here, gain green. I can go here, activates 2 moves. I can go here and gain green, or here and gain green, but it's not enough because I would need extra moves to be able to fully get in his way and block. Now I can push him here, but then he can still move on to yellow and still win. But here's the thing. No. Because if I push him here, he goes on to yellow, then he needs 2 moves to win. He won't be able to score both. Oh, that's perfect. Okay. So I can stop him from winning this turn, which is important. I'm going to have to buy a yellow push and push him once. That's the only way to stop him from winning. And he's going to buy the blue move next turn, which sucks. But he's going to have to score one of his pawns, and then I can try to block them. He's probably going to... Doesn't really matter which one he scores. Okay. So I have to gain green and move on to yellow. So, okay. So what I'm going to do as this player This is kind of some of the late game thinking of like, how do I stop this guy from freaking winning? What I'm going to do is I'm going to move. I'm going to move onto blue, activate my blue move, blue gain. I'm going to then move onto yellow, activating both my yellow moves. I'm going to then move onto green backwards here. Use the blue gain to gain green, then buy. I'm going to buy the yellow push, and then I'm going to use my last yellow move to move back onto yellow, which activates the push. I will then use the push to push my opponent back here, and now he cannot win on the next turn, right? Because when he moves onto yellow, regardless of where he moves onto yellow from, he doesn't have enough to win. Ooh, the red move. Oh, that'd be so good for my blue player. All right, back to red player. Okay, but here's the thing. I can just buy this blue move. I can kind of go a do-si-do if I want. But I still won't have enough to win. But it's without a doubt the best idea. Let me just pick up the blue move because that's what my opponent wants. I don't want him to have it. Okay. Now I'm in a good place to not be stopped. Now notice 4 moves, right? This is the late game. It's a dead straight race, right? The mid game gives you the advantage. The late game, you want to be in advantage position to try to win. So red is in advantage position. We've entered the late game. Looking good for red. Blue is in a disadvantaged position and scrambling to try to stop them. We'll see if they have enough time. Blue's advantage, though, is they have more gains, right? So as the game goes on, they're going to be getting advantage faster. But here's the thing. 6 cards versus 7, right? This player is up, still has advantage, has board position and card position advantage. Things are looking pretty good for red to kind of come out on top this game. Okay, so I bought that card. That was my buy. I still have a move action, right? Now I could kind of go backwards and do-si-do just to activate this extra push, which probably is the best move here. I'm also going to want to activate the yellow move to be able. Okay, so what do I want to buy? All right, so we have a green move. Oh man, that would just be so devastating because then I would basically have everything I need to win. So I'm definitely gonna do that. I'm gonna move backwards onto red, right, and then I'm gonna move forwards onto yellow to activate all of these. I'm gonna gain red while I'm on it, and then I'm gonna move onto blue, which activates my blue move. I have 2 moves left. I'm gonna move one guy here, and I'm gonna score with one of them, and the one I will score with will be, I think I want to score with this guy. Okay. And perfect. Because then, kind of no matter where he pushes me, I'm just in such a good position to kind of close out the game here. So, and I have 2 pushes here. So how can I mess up this guy as bad as possible with my 2 pushes so he could do nothing? So red is still jail for him, right? So pushing him here isn't a bad idea. Or I could, because I could double push, then he has to move backwards, which I love, right? Green is also jail, so this is just a real tight spot for him. I mean, this is a complete dead zone, which I think is really good. But I don't want to push my opponent forward. And I know he's going to be able to activate everything no matter what. So I feel like 2 pushes is one of the best things I can do. I'm going to actually push my opponent here, forcing red in those directions, right? So a lot of dead zones. And you know, if he wants to go into yellow, he's got to go even farther backwards, right? So he's gonna have to go backwards to activate his cards no matter what. Really good defensive position, just kind of putting him in a bad spot. Okay. All right, blue, last chance. Can you save the game? Let's see. All right, so your opponent has scored, which is basically your opportunity to make a comeback, right? It really exposes them, puts them in a weak position where there's only one pawn to focus on now. So if you're going to make a comeback, this is the point to make the comeback. So let's see what we can do here. So we have a yellow resource. He's able to move on everything but green, but there's a green move in the market, and we know he wants it because that'll give him ultimate flexibility and it'll be basically impossible to stop. So we want to buy the green move, which we can because we have some pretty good cards to do so. We have a blue gain and a red gain, and we only need red resource to buy the green move. So we are going to be moving on to red. Now let's just think about how we want to do this. So if I go backwards here onto blue, I activate my blue move, blue gain. Then I can go onto yellow, then I can go onto red, and I'll still have another move action, so I can buy the green move. I'll be able to push him once, so I could push him here onto blue, and then he can move on to red and on the yellow and activate all that nonsense. The only place we could jail him where there's green only around him would probably be like this square, but we're going to need a lot of pushes to pull that off. So we want to do two things defensively. We want to buy the green move so that it continues to be his only jail square. Having jail flexibility is really important because it gives you opportunities to play defense. So I do want to buy the green move, but I also need to make sure I'm pushing him back and probably getting physically in his way, right? Physically blocking him. See, here's the thing though. If I push him here, I physically block him here, he's going to move from red back to blue, push me out of the way, and score and win, right? So is there a way for me to go like onto red, right? Like push him here, be on both of these squares so he can't do anything. Let's see. How many moves do I have? I have 3 moves, option to buy a 4th move. I would have to do 1, 2, 3. Oh man, I don't think so. Now, alternatively, if I can get him here, right? I'm blocking here, and then if I can block here, they'll be jailed. That's only 2. I have 1 push. I would need a second push to pull this off. And he'd be on red, so he wouldn't be able to gain and buy for the green move. So in order to pull this off, I just need 1 more push. That's the only push in the market. All right. I can get blue. That's easy. Can I get green? And then can I use it? So I'd have to, but the problem is I have a gain on red. I don't have any moves on red, so I'd have to like move back and forth on red to be able to do it. Um, and I'd have to go on green, which is tough. I think I can. I don't know if I have the moves for it because I can move here onto yellow with this piece, activate these 2 moves, which gives me one of the pushes I need, right? I can move back onto red, which will activate the gain I need. Well, no matter what, one of the actions I have to do is to move onto this blue tile. Because that activates this move, this gain, and then I would gain blue. So that's one of them, right? I have another move available, which I can use to move. So I can move onto this green tile here, right? But I don't have the red I need, right? The move has to be to move onto yellow to give me the moves I need to pull this off, right? And then I can move this guy to yellow, right? Or this guy to yellow. See, I can get to green, but then I don't have the gain I need to be able to buy it. I don't think there's a way. There's nowhere to push this guy far enough or get in his way enough to stop him. I think, unfortunately, red player is going to take this one down. Because I don't, the cards in the board position in this position don't have it. I don't think so. Because I could swap, but you swap, then you can't buy. Won't be able to get the card. I could move onto yellow to activate these guys, and then move onto green, and then move onto red, and then I can actually buy it, but then I don't have the moves to activate it, and I wouldn't be in the position anyways to do anything. There's no hope. There was no way. That's how it goes sometimes, so It is what it is. Buy the push, don't use it, and then on the next turn, this guy just wins. And that is a tactile battle. So, how did this turn out? So, in terms of card counts, it's about 7-7. So, overall, yeah, that's it's pretty standard, pretty even, right? I mean, Blue spent their entire turn trying to play defensively. If they had played the other way and played offensively, they probably would have been right next to the goal, right? But they just couldn't win before red player could win. And that's why, they spent a couple turns in jail, and usually, like, that's all it takes. You wasted two of your turns in the mid game. That's all the margin you need to get yourself in position and kind of get around them. There was probably ways to avoid jail, but that's the thinking ahead you probably had to do a lot longer ago to avoid. And that's kind of how a tactile battle might look. So, hope this was informative. Hope you got to see some tactile strategy live. Maybe it was nice to kind of hear the overview of what one might be thinking about. I was really focused on playing, so hopefully it was clear and I wasn't playing too fast for you guys to kind of see what it was like. But yeah, this is a pretty standard tactile battle. This is generally about how many cards we get when somebody wins. But if you find good opportunities for defense and you really look into the future, you can definitely play a lot longer games where the battle continues to be extended. But this is why it's so important to find the color pathways, look for the resource generation opportunity, and don't put yourself in positions where you can get jailed. And avoiding those jails and looking out for those jails and planning ahead to have the cards you need to not be in jail. um, because this is kind of devastating. Got to watch out for this stuff. Cool. Well, thank you guys so much for joining. This has been a tactile strategy overview, and I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. All right, everybody, signing off.